Hello and good morning to the Monday morning inspiration for the joy of creation and the magic of art, creativity and play. Have you been playing lately? What have you been creating lately? So good morning on this gorgeous day. I'm Bettina Madini and I'm the host of the Monday morning inspiration. And so welcome. I am in my studio today. It's one of the warmest rooms in the house because it's a little bit further up. So how have you all been? And what's going on in your world? And have you been creating enough? Have you been creating enough? Yes, did you hear me? When we don't create enough, which could be for some of you way more than you have been creating. So as these creative beings, when we don't create enough, we create all kinds of undesirable things because we are actually creating all the time. And so this is my question. Have you been creating enough? And just see whether this is a yes or a no. And if it is a no, or you have found yourself creating things that are not so desirable, what is it that you get hung up in? Is there any judgment? What did you allow to stop you? For sure, there's enough that is out there in the world right now that is trying to stop us, right? So if you are the potent creators that I know you are because you are watching this, hello, welcome. When we are these powerful, potent creators, you know, right now there's some stuff, some things, some energies that are trying to stop us. And what is that, right? So it is actually points of view that we are taking. It is judgments. Judgments are really like the real virus that has been around and around and around. And it has also been used for marketing and for making us believe that we have to do things, we have to have things, we have to buy things, or whatever. We have to have a person in our life or follow a certain program of so and so many steps in order to do it right. So it's all judgment. And so this morning I was actually asking, well, what can I talk about today? Because sometimes I feel I have talked about so many things, and you might think that I haven't talked about anything, but like what is it that would be a contribution to you all, and also facilitate more consciousness and joy with art in the world globally, like all over the place, not just like here in this country or in this state or in this town, but globally. And so all you potent creators, what have you allowed to stop you? And like where are you currently going with your creativity, with this literally volcano inside of you that requires this outlet, that requires to create? And what is it actually that desires to be brought into the world by you that no one else can bring into the world? What is the gift of you that you have been making so secret, hidden, or judged as hideous, hide-worthy, hideous, obnoxious, wrong? That is not wrong. And so there is a conversation that I overheard on the weekend in a group meeting, of course online, and it was about art. And you know, there is something about when we are in the process of creating something. Have you ever had people who start to interpret what you are doing? Oh, I see this. Oh, I see that. Or this person in the meeting was asking the artist about his painting in progress, Well, when are you going to paint the skin? This is all just looking inside of the throat. And so it was not actually a real question that she was asking. So I could tell there was so much judgment. So, like, how aware are you of people's judgments when they are, oh, just asking a question that is not a real question, but loaded with judgment? And how often have you made your art wrong when you hurt somebody, like this person, when somebody made a comment, or they asked a question, but the question was loaded with judgment? And then what did you do with your painting, with your art, with your sculpture, with your book? Did you throw it out? Did you destroy it? Did you stop it? I could literally tell in the meeting that there was a stopping point that she had created with her pseudo question. That was not a question, but a judgment, and loaded with judgment. Was actually a great unkindness. And so just seeing that was a wow moment in my world. And it brought me to the space of where I have allowed people to stop me, to stop my painting, to stop me straight in the tracks. So this is what judgment is creating. This is also where, this is what I want to mention to you, how aware you are. So obviously on the surface, it looked like a question that she was asking. So everybody will say, oh, she was just asking a question. And it's all these people who are not aware of what is really going on, but you were aware. And then you made you wrong for thinking, oh, that poor woman, she was just asking a question, which she was not. That bitch was actually judging the painting and setting a stop point, like a block in the road right there. And so, of course, then when we have the tools, we can move around it, we can undo it. But like I'm thinking of in the past where I did not have these tools, and I actually stopped and I started looking at my painting with her eyes, like whoever that person in my past was, right? But I take her as an example, like, where have you stopped and then started looking at your art through this person's eyes who just made this remark? That was not a question, that was a judgment with a question mark attached. And so for a moment, I would like you to acknowledge your awareness and not make it wrong. Even if the world around you will say, oh, she did not judge you, she was just asking a question. That woman is so kind. She is such a good person. Well, maybe she is, but what she did in this very moment was not a kindness. It was judgment. And so acknowledge your awareness, please. And will you also have your own back and trust your awareness? That's step 2. So you are aware. Oh, what am I aware of here? What is this actually? Was this a question? Why am I having this anger coming up in me? Anger is coming up. One of the reasons why anger is coming up is when there's a lie. And every judgment is a lie, because there's nothing judgeable about you and your art. Okay? Really, truly. Like, would an infinite being ever judge art, or just like have a preference of one kind or another, right? That's a different, I walk off the trail right now. But let's bring it back. So acknowledge your awareness, and then it's like, okay, was there judgment attached, hidden? It's these hidden judgments that people slip into our world underneath something else that looks pretty, or that looks as if they are interested in your art, but they are not. It's like, you are aware, acknowledge your awareness, and then the next thing would be to not take that judgment and undo it. undo it. For a moment, let's do this. All of your artworks and paintings and sculptures, meals, um, businesses that you have created and you stopped in the tracks because somebody said something. So all this judgment that was literally launched at your creations from some hidden agendas, and other people who are just judgmental. Most people in the world are just judgmental. So everything that was launched at your creation at large, everything that was launched at your body, everything that was launched at you, the being, for being who you are and being so different, for your art being what it is. Even in the process of painting, my point of view is everybody should just shut up and not interpret anything while an artist is creating art. That's like, that's so hideous. Like, what is all of that about, right? Just be quiet and ask a real question, or ask the artist whether they require anything, or what their question is, or what we can contribute to them and their paintings. But really contribute. Okay, so all the judgments that you have made real, that you have allowed to be launched and shot at your art, wow, let's lift that, undo it, and melt all these judgments. Literally uncreate them. Will you, please? So all the paintings that are hidden somewhere in your studio spaces, underneath your bed, or in the garage, in the attic, wherever you have hidden them, all this judgment stuff that was perpetrated onto them, let's undo this, okay? Wow. So allow all of this to melt. You are all so brave for putting your creations out there, and people will always have something to say or something to judge about it, have a point of view, and also speak it out loud as if they are entitled to do so. So the art in that for us is to not make the judgment mean anything, to not make it real and solid. And how do you know that you made it solid? It's when you have a reaction. So everywhere you reacted to that. So I did this also. I had a reaction when that woman said this. I had a reaction. So then I was inside of me just saying, well, okay, interesting point of view that I have this point of view, which this is an access consciousness tool. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And please look into access consciousness. They are wonderful tools. There are so many books also that I think one of my favorite books is Being You, Changing the World by Dr. Dane Heer. And all these tools are in there. Interesting point of view is, I think, even a chapter in the book. And it will dive into how we can undo these hideous, insidious, destructive judgments that are just flying around everywhere, and we make them real. That's what we are actually doing then. We make them real, we make them mean something, and we go into reaction to it, which also means that somewhere we align with it. Otherwise we would not react at all. And then we allow ourselves to stop ourselves in the tracks right there. It's like a stopper. And so be aware of that. Notice that. Just what are you doing with this when somebody is judging something about you? What are you doing with this? And when somebody is asking a question that makes you really upset, ask, is this actually a real question that they are asking, or what am I aware of? Are there any judgments hidden in there? Are there any like agendas flowing underneath that I'm aware of. And if this then at all lightens you up and you go into maybe a smile or like an moment, then that is what it was. And like just all these, it's almost like arrows that are being shot at us when people are judging us, and in sneaky ways of asking a question that is not a question but loaded with judgment. That is the sneaky way of taking a really sharp arrow, and it's like painting it pink and attaching some chicken feathers to it that makes them look fluffy and nice, and maybe even like covering them in chocolate and then shooting them at us, which all of that covering and that making it look nice is what they are trying to create. But in truth, it is an arrow. That's the end of the story. It is an arrow that they are launching at us, right? And at our creations to stop us in our tracks. So there's this one question that I got out of, I have a big book where I write things down. And so I just opened it this morning. There's also, I have some funny drawings. I'm drawing and dabbling around. So among all these drawings, I found this question, which is, what can I choose today that I have never chosen before? What can I choose? What can I choose right now that I have no idea I can choose? So what can you choose today that you have never chosen before? Maybe, like, could it be that you can choose to not take people's judgments? Play with it just for a day and see what it creates for you. Whatever somebody says to you, don't take it, let it fly by. It is just an interesting point of view. It is their point of view. And there are sneaky people who try to stop others because they have stopped themselves so much that they can actually not receive anybody who is just going for it. But what if you keep rolling? What if you keep walking? What if you keep creating and you don't let anybody else's points of view, judgments, hidden stories, and agendas stop you? There are currently a lot of hidden agendas everywhere. And you might be aware of that. And is it that makes you angry? When we are aware of a lie underneath the fluffy stuff, we get upset and angry. And it's also a very potent energy that we can use to change all of that. And you can use this in your studio of life or your art studio, whatever. You can use this in your studio to keep creating. There is also the possibility of using that energy that is being launched at you and using it for creation, which means you don't grab the arrow and allow it to hurt you, but you just, you have the awareness, this is what they are trying to do. That's interesting. I don't allow this to stop me, and I'm going to use this energy for creation, because everything is just energy. There's no good or bad energy. Okay? You will discover in this process, when you don't take judgment, when you don't judge you, when you approach your art, your painting in progress like an adventure, like, what if you cannot do it wrong? Oh, let's just go for it. Let's just play. I'm currently playing with new mediums and adding things and changing things, doing things different, which even different brushes, like my tools are changing, and I invite more into the creation space, like, and what if this all is a contribution and you are actually the explorer on this magical journey of creation that has no idea where this trail in the jungle is going to, but in these oops moment of falling into a hole or stumbling, we might discover that there's a treasure that was hidden. And that we just stumbled across. So it's the same with our art. You don't know what you can create. And when you judge it, when you allow other people to judge it, you will never find out what you can create. And this is what is going on a lot in this reality. There are people who want to stop you. And what if that is just an interesting point of view? What if you are unstoppable? And another question for you, could it be, just ponder this for a moment. Does the earth want you to stop you? Does the earth want you to stop in the tracks and stop creating? Or is the earth asking for you to be who you are and to keep creating no matter what, and be you? Okay, my friends, I let you go. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope this is a contribution to you, and I will continue painting. I see you soon. Keep creating, all right? Don't stop. Keep walking. Bye.